In this video, we're going to be finding the volume of three-dimensional objects. Volume is the amount of space that a three-dimensional object takes up. So for instance, if you had a box, the amount of space inside that box is the volume. And volume is measured in cubic units, so whatever unit of measure that we're using, we need to put an exponent of 3 at the end. There's not just one formula to find the volume of all the shapes. We do have different shapes, so we need to use our formula sheet to help us find our appropriate formula. So here's the volume side of our formula sheet, and these are the different three-dimensional shapes that we have. We have a cylinder, a sphere, a cone, a square-based pyramid, a rectangular prism, and a triangular prism. So let's find the volume of this example. What shape is that? If we compare that to our formula sheet, that looks most like the triangular prism. And we can compare the measurements in our shape with the side lengths that are in our diagram of the triangular prism. B represents the base of our triangle in our triangular prism. So in our shape, the 6 centimeters would be our base. L is like the length of the triangle, but you might recognize it as the height of the triangle in this triangular prism. So in our shape, 5 centimeters is L. And H is just the height of the prism or how long our prism is. So in our shape, 12 centimeters is H. In our formula sheet, there are different versions of the formula, but they do mean the same thing. I do prefer to use this first one. And this just means volume is equal to B times L times H, then divided by 2. So we just need to start off with writing out our formula. This is how we're going to calculate our volume. And then we just need to replace all of these letters with the measurements in our shape. So volume is going to be equal to 6 centimeters times 5 centimeters times 12 centimeters, and all of that is going to be divided by 2. And if you start calculating, that's just 360 divided by 2. So our volume is equal to 180, and don't forget our units at the end. This is in centimeters cubed. And now it's your turn. I want you to pause the video and try to find the volume of this shape on your own. And when you're ready, come back to the video to see the answer. So this is what I got. Our shape was a triangular prism, just like in our example, so we're using the same formula. It's really helpful when you label your diagram with the side measurements that you need, so it's just easier to plug it into your formula. So volume is just equal to 13 times 11 times 15, all divided by 2, and when I did that calculation, I got that volume is equal to 1072.5 feet cubed. And don't forget that exponent of 3 on your units whenever you're calculating volume. So on the bottom of this handout, we have a couple practice problems that you can try, and we do have the answers to all of these questions on the very bottom of the handout. And I'm actually going to do 2 more questions with you. So here's our formula sheet, and let's just move it off to the side. I'm going to do B and D with you. In question B, we have a square-based pyramid. At the bottom, there is a square, that's our base, and then we have 4 triangles that all meet at the top. The formula for the volume of a square-based pyramid is V equals B squared times H divided by 3. So we need to identify what B and H is in our diagram. So B is the side length of our square. So that would be 8. And H is the height of our square-based pyramid, and that's actually already labeled for us. And now we just need to plug those numbers into our formula. So that just becomes 8 squared times 9. And all of that needs to be divided by 3. And you can do the calculation in parts, or you can just put it all into the calculator at once. Just make sure you're multiplying everything at the top first. So in the top, we are going to have 576, and that needs to be divided by 3. So volume is just equal to 192 centimeters cubed. Next, let's find the volume of this shape in part D. So this shape kind of looks like the square-based pyramid, but on the bottom we don't have a square, we have a circle. So this is actually a cone. And according to our formula sheet, the volume formula for a cone is V equals pi r squared h over 3. And that's just pi times r squared times h, and that's all divided by 3. And we know that the symbol here, pi, is 3.14. R is the radius of this circle, so in our diagram or in our shape, r is 3 centimeters, and h is just the height of the cone, and in our shape, that's just going to be 8 centimeters. So we can just plug those numbers into our formula. So that's going to be 3.14 times 3 squared times 8, and that will all be divided by 3. And don't forget, when you're calculating this, 3 squared just means 3 times 3. It's not 3 times 2. So 3.14 times 3 squared times 8 is equal to 226.08, and that needs to be divided by 3. And once you do that, the volume is equal to 75.36 centimeters cubed. Go ahead and find the volume on your own of the last 2 shapes on this page. There are 3 more handouts that you can use to practice, and just make sure you're at least trying different types of shapes and checking your answer.